Today we're going to talk about how to make using pinch bowls to make a lidded vessel. This is a project here. You can make two pinch bowls, stick them together. I'm going to demo that today, and you're going to be able to cut a lid off of it and make a nice little lidded vessel out of it. I'm going to go through the whole process how to build this here. A couple things you do is you're going to need about a pound of clay per bowl. You have to take you a couple days to assemble this, and you have to put a foot on the bottom, and then add a handle on the top, and then put a design, and repeat around the whole entire piece. That's what we're going to work on here on making this lidded vessel. First thing we're going to do is you take a set and make a couple pinch bowls. Make sure they're about the same size. I got about a pound of clay here I'm going to make it into a nice little ball of clay, which you've seen me demo before. The difference with this one is though, we made the pinch bowl originally, you can make it wide, you can make them semicircular, whatever shape you want to, but now since we're making this kind of a round spherical object, you gotta make the bowls kind of, it's gonna be deep and kind of like wide and shallow. So you wanna make your bowls that way. So then we'll go back in and make them a little bit rounder. So again, I take my thumb, plunge it in the middle, I begin to pinch outwards. I work my way around the bottom of my piece. I'm gonna work and shape it. Now, when I get the bowl kind of shaped like this, to get a little bit wider of shape, what I'll do is I take my hands, and I put both hands in there and begin to stretch out the clay a little bit. I want to get a nice shallow and wide bowl is what I'm trying to do. Because you want to make it look like half a circle is like kind of the goal. I leave the lip somewhat thick. I don't want to make them super thick. This gives me an idea. Quick little representation right here. And I'm going to cut this in half so you kind of see what it looks like a little bit in here. So I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to make sure it's has a certain even thickness throughout the piece. I'm trying to make it that way, but they're kind of shallow and wide. So I stick them together, pretend this is one half of a sphere. Kind of see what it looks like a little bit. When I score these together, that's what it's going to be. It should be shallow and wide. It should have a nice round shape. It should not be flat on the top. I have a couple bowls here I've already pre-prepped here to kind of put together what we need to do. So as you can see, they match, gives that kind of a round shape kind of feel and all that. So what I do is I take them, I'm going to score with my scoring tool, a nice serrated rib on both pieces. Then I'm going to take some slip, making sure the end's not clogged. Apply slip to both directions of the bowl. I take it, I'm going to press them together. I really want to get them cupped in both hands. That's why we don't go crazy with too much clay. So I'm really trying to press that seam together. Air is now being trapped in here is what you want. Then I take my cleanup tool. I'm going to use the back side of my cleanup tool. Not the front side, but the back side. I'm going to go along here and I'm going to scrape. I give it a scar along the piece. Once I've done that, I really make sure that seam is well blended. Then I take a paddle, and I begin to start at the top of my piece and work the shape around it. I'm beginning to get as round as I possibly can. I'm not hitting it very hard. I'm lightly, delicately hitting it to get the clay to move. I'm trying to make it as round as I possibly can. I can go over it with a rubber rib, smooth my seams. If I have to, if I have any big divots, stuff like that, I can take some extra soft clay I have here and begin to fill in my seams so it blends all together really well. It's hard to make it perfect as you come up. I can take some clay and begin to fill in gaps and seams and stuff like that and make it pretty perfect, where it's nice and round and smooth. Then I'm going to go with the paddle again, kind of keep working the shape, working the shape, working the shape. When I get done to a certain point where I have everything nice and smooth, I have a sphere here that's pretty smooth. You kind of see where the seam still is, but really it's gone. And this kind of gives you an idea there. I know it looks bigger than this one, but when it shrinks, it's going to be about the same size. So now I'm ready, once I've smoothed it out and have it all nice and smooth, I'm going to begin to build it and make it into something else, like this hollow sphere thing. The first thing I'm going to do is I got to cut the lid off. You got to decide what you want your lid to be on your piece. If you have it up really high at top, you have a smaller container, you have a smaller lid circumference area, but you have a bigger container of storage. If you cut it halfway in the middle, you lose some of the width to store things, but you have a little easier lid where half of this is like this. It's up to you. I'm going to probably put it right about here. Now, you don't have to make it perfectly round if you want. You can give it some wavy lines. It's totally up to you. Since this example has wavy lines, I'm going to go ahead and just cut it straight off. Now, when you cut the lid off, yes, the lid stays on. You got to cut it at an angle. If I cut straight, the lid's just going to slide off. So I have to cut it a little bit at an angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around here with my needle tool, and I'm going to draw a line around it. So a rough idea of where the lid's going to be. So I'm going to do something like this. It's going to be perfectly around. It doesn't matter because this is not a perfectly round shape. But you got to get yourself an idea of where you want your lid to be first. Then I have a line there. I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to plunge it in, and I'm going to cut away from me. So I plunge this in at an angle, and then I begin to follow along with that thing with that line I have. And notice my knife stays at that angle. What I've done now is I have a nice little cut all the way around. Now, what I'll do is I'll take this lid off here, and then I'll make a mark, if I go any further, on the inside, and the inside as well. So kind of a rough idea where the lid sits. I'm not spending the next 20, 30 minutes trying to figure it out. If you want, you can do it on a little bit on the outside for now. Now, once I take this piece apart, I'm then going to go on the inside and begin to smooth the inside out. Where my seam was originally, see where my seam was originally, where I joined these two together. I'm just kind of smoothing everything together, giving it a nice look. If it's smooth with a crack, don't worry about it. I can take some soft clay. I was doing that, I can fill it back in. Make sure my lid stuff still fits. So it lines up still. Then I'll flip this over for now like this. And do the same thing on this one. I just smooth it out on the inside a little bit, so it's all nice and smooth. And my angles are all nice and blended together. I can use like a little wooden rib, a rubber rib. Make sure it's all nice and blended. Now, the last skill thing I'm going to do is I have to make a handle and a foot on this. There's a couple ways you make a foot, as I've demoed before. I'm just going to make a simple coil one on here. Take a coil of clay. Don't want to make it super big, just big enough to support my bowl. I'm not going to score and slip this on. This is just a demonstration, so let it go right here, and I'd score and slip this on. It'll help hold it up, give it some height. I don't want to make it this big. You see how it gives it a nice little height to it? That's what I want. And I blend this on. Pretend I scored and slipped it. I'll take it, blend on this piece. So nice and well blended on there. And the last thing is you gotta make a handle for the top. Now, the easiest thing to do, as my example shows, is to do this. I don't want you to do that. The handle should somehow go along with your design idea for your piece. Play around with it, experiment with it, stuff like that. Just do something different. I'm gonna show you just how to make a quick handle I'm talking about. Don't make it too huge. If you make it too big, it's not gonna work very well for your lid. But you can kind of take it, this gives you something quick. Something else, because I might take this, and then when I draw this stuff out, I'm gonna carve a line that goes all the way around like this onto my piece. Kind of spirals on down. The handle should go along with the piece. It should not just be something simple like that as well. All right? And this is how you make your lidded vessel and everything else. You can see, cut the lid off, you have this foot on it. Your design should cover the whole entire piece. It should be something that's called a repeating pattern, is what you're gonna be making. All right? And that's how you make the lidded vessel.